Good day, students. This is Professor Inglet. Today, I'm going to go over the second part of chapter 5, which is Sikhism. Let me share my screen so you can see the PowerPoint. I'm not sure why chapter 5 focuses on Jainism and Sikhism. I would probably put them in separate chapters, mainly because Sikhism occurs later in the history of India, all the way to the 15th century Common Era. The origin of Sikhism begins in the Punjab region in northwest India or eastern Pakistan. It shares a border between those two areas. I mentioned 1469, that's the birth of Nanak, the founder of Sikhism. He lived in this area of the Punjab region and received a mystical experience after bathing in water and going into the forest. We have this image of going into the forest from the Buddhist perspective too. Buddha and Jesus sort of went into the desert to find this connection to God. So he received a mystical experience and felt the presence of one God as the absolute. So he practices monism in a way. Monism is that Hindu presentation of oneness with one single divine reality. Instead of one single divine reality being Atman or Brahman from the Hindu perspective, the Sikhist perspective tends to focus more on the Islam element, the one God as the absolute. One God beyond all human names and conception. So there is no polytheistic element in the Sikhist tradition, the Sikhism tradition. Nanak referred to one God as true name. When the true name is experienced, there is no Hindu and there is no Muslim. Again, we have a transcendence that occurs. He's trying to present God as a universal concept beyond a particular religion. So it's more than just combining, well, let's take some Hindu elements and let's mix this with some Muslim elements and create our own religion. It's not quite like that with the Sikhism tradition. Nanak wore clothing that did integrate the Hindu and Muslim experience. This could tell you how much that area at the time, the 15th century, was a bit of a cosmopolitan area. Lots of different religions existed there: Islam, Hindu, and Muslim. Islam is Muslim. Islam, Hindu, and other elements of mystical experiences. The Sikhism tradition believes in reincarnation and karma. So we have that element still existing from the Hindu perspective, although they do resist the Hindu embrace of ritual and puja and reject the polytheism within Hinduism. God dwells within each individual and can be contacted within the human heart. That language is very much like Islam and Judaism and Christianity, all the Western traditions. You could say this again: God dwells within each individual and can be contacted within the human heart. You could say, okay, is that a tradition related to Sikhism, Judaism, Christianity, or Islam, or even Zoroastrianism in the Persian tradition? And the answer would be all of the above. They all have that viewpoint. Something related, I think, to the Muslim tradition is this idea of the Sangat. That's a religious group focusing on worshiping of God and assisting fellow human beings who are poor or impoverished. Particularly, Nanak didn't think that the religions of the period helped the poor, and he was interested in that. We have a picture here of Nanak, and we have some Hindus in the audience listening to him, and There's Guru Nanak in conflict with Hindu religion. He's trying to convert or tell people about his viewpoint. When you start a new religion, although he didn't start out that way, oh, this is a new religion. He thought of it as a new point of view. Nevertheless, when you have followers, you're going to have persecution. And the Sikhs were very much persecuted by the Muslim leaders of that area. This persecution led Sikhs to adopt military defense against Muslim leaders and communities. And the sword became a symbol, a religious symbol, connected to protection of the Sikh community. We don't have swords here, we have rifles, it looks like. This is an image of a Sikh person defending the Punjabi. Ultimately, as time happened, the Sikhs formed this community, this group or order called the Khalsa. And here's an image of that order. You can see some interesting colors within his turban and also his clothing. And you see a sword there as well. You don't see the kesh. The kesh is the uncut hair and beard. You see the beard, that's part of the outfit. Then you have the kanga, which is a hair comb to hold the long hair in place. That becomes a symbol of the Sikh Khalsa. Then you have the kach. This is the special underwear to indicate alertness and readiness to fight. Yes, I did say underwear. Kirpan, the sword for defense. So there you have the kirpan in the front, and the kara, the bracelet of iron or steel, repressing strength. So if you're a Sikh and you present yourself in this particular order, you are going to follow this dress. You may not follow it outwardly as much as this person does, but you're definitely going to have a kasha kanga, kach, kirpan, and a kara as part of your wardrobe. And I think it's important to think about clothing and the various communities that we study, and think about how clothing is connected to this religious aspect. And I believe the Khalsa is a good order to study in terms of how clothing and things, material represents the religion. Adi Granth is the sacred text. And again, I'd like to read from this, and you could ask yourself, well, this sounds very universal. It sounds like Christianity. It sounds like Judaism and Islam, but it's also Sikh. And this comes from the Sikh tradition. And I've read some prayers from the Adi Granth. It's not easy to find good English translations of the Adi Granth. The prayers are beautiful. When I read the prayers, I remember thinking, these are just so beautiful, and they seem to connect to this concept of the God, this universal figure. So the Adi Granth reads, wonderful your word, wonderful your knowledge, wonderful your creatures, wonderful their species, wonderful their forms, wonderful their colors, wonderful the animals which wander naked, wonderful your mind, your wind, wonderful your water, wonderful your fire which sports wondrously, wonderful the earth, wonderful the desert, wonderful the road, wonderful your nearness, wonderful your remoteness, wonderful to behold you present. So the repetition of the language is very nice. And we have a picture of water offering at the Gurdwara. I didn't spell that correctly. I apologize for that. So water becomes a symbol of the religion as well. Water as baptism, water as purity, water as purifying self to connect to God in a deeper way. So more Sikh beliefs. We have the 3 duties. This is not in your textbook, but I decided to present it here. Nam Japna means remembering God at all times. And this relates in many ways to the Muslim perspective. You're supposed to pray 5 times at least a day, throughout the day. So that's very much in line with the Muslim perspective. Kirkana means honest and ethical living. Van Shakna means giving to charity and helping others. We have the 5 vices, and this is in all religions: lust, greed, attachment, anger, and pride. We're supposed to limit those elements as much as possible and recognize them as the false identity, and connecting to God is beyond these vices. Maybe connecting to God is a way to reduce these vices as well. I have a picture here of Hindu temple images. You have gurus in the center, Guru Nanak. He's not worshipped, he's venerated. God is worshipped in these particular pictures. And we have a Hindu temple off on this other side here. Notice the dome in the center. That's a central element of many of the religions, the dome. I have another Hindu temple. I'm sorry, I say Hindu. I'm going to have to change that PowerPoint. That should say Sikh temple images. Sorry about that. And that's all I have for the show today. I'm changing that right now to Sikh temple images. I'm not sure why I did that. Thanks for listening to my PowerPoint and to some of the mistakes that I made while doing this. If you have questions, let me know. Jingle@occc.edu.